Hey guys, what's up? So today we're going to be looking at frequency tables with ungrouped data. All right, guys, and this is really the meat of the matter when it comes to statistics, okay? So it says the frequency of an event or observation or score is defined as the number of times an event has occurred, right? That's the most important thing, guys, the number of times an event has occurred. Example, if you roll a dice 10 times and you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 1, 3, 3, then the frequency of 1 and 3 is 3, since 3 of the tosses were 1s and 3s. A major way of organizing raw data into some sort of order is to arrange them using a tally chart. For example, in this case, 1 was rolled 3 times, so I have 3 over here. In this case, 2 was rolled once, so we have 1. The same with 3 here, 3 times, so we have 3. 4 is 1, 5 is 1, and 6 is 1, respectively. So this little table here is really important, okay, guys, because it allows us to make sense of the data. And that's exactly what we need in the case where you have ungrouped data. You want to group the data in a way that's presentable, in a way that makes sense, so that you can use it later on. All right, guys. So obviously, when we add all the frequencies here, we're going to get the total frequency as 10, right? And this is pretty much the gist of frequency tables. And we're actually going to be asked about probability related to these tables. Cool. So anytime you get a set of data, guys, all you have to do is say, okay, how many times did the one roll? And I say, okay, that's 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and then I cross out these ones, right? And that's kind of how you do it. You move on to 2. How many times did 2 roll? That's 1 time, and you put a 1 here, and you continue and you go on and on until you have finished your table. All right, guys? Cool. So this is pretty much how you want to notate the frequency table. And great. And we're going to actually look at another definition, which is called the relative frequency. We're going to look into that now, guys. Okay. All right, guys. So we'll put some definitions here. Okay. And we'll have the same table that we had earlier, right? The same table with the situation where we rolled a dice 10 times, right? And it says the relative frequency or the experimental probability of an event is normally defined as the frequency of the event in comparison to the total frequency. The relative frequency or experimental probability is usually stated as a fraction or a percentage. So here we have RF, which represents the relative frequency, right? We're looking at relative frequency here, guys, as a fraction is equal to the frequency of an event over the total frequency. So let me give you an example of that. Let's say we wanted to find RF as a fraction of the possibility of getting a number 2 when you roll the dice 10 times in this case, and it would be the frequency of the event, which is 1, over the total of the frequency, which is 10, so it's 1 over 10. So you'd actually end up getting 0.10 as the answer, right? And we also have another definition here, which is the relative frequency as a percentage, which is the same thing, the frequency of the event over the total frequency multiplied by 100. So let's say they also give you a second question saying, what is the relative frequency expressed as a percentage of getting a 3 when you roll the dice 10 times in this case? And that would actually be the relative frequency would be equal to 3, which is the frequency of the event, over the total frequency, which is 10, multiplied by 100%, which is 100. And you'd actually end up getting this 0 cancels this 0, and you'd get 30%. So there's a 30% chance of getting the number 3 in this case when we roll the dice 10 times, right? So that's pretty much what this section is about, guys. Usually they ask you questions related to the relative frequency. You always have to draw this tally chart here, and they will ask you questions to pick your brain about if you really understand this probability thing. It's very simple. All you need to do is find the relative frequency, which is the frequency of the event over the total frequency. And I think it may suit us actually to do another example, because this example uh, it wasn't too bad, but I would like to do another example. All right, guys. So let's look into another one. All right, guys. So we're gonna look at the last example here, and I think this is a wonderful example. It says the information below shows the number of goals Liverpool scored each game during the 38 game Premier League season. The goals for each game are listed below: 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, and so on. And it says construct a frequency table for the season, calculate the relative frequency of 3 goals scored, and calculate the probability that for a match played the goals scored are greater than 2. Alright? So the first thing we want to do, guys, is we want to construct the frequency table. Alright, so let's just draw a line here. Let's just draw one here and draw one here. Okay, guys? Cool, and we're going to put in the score. We're going to put the score here. Then we're going to put the tally. Then we're going to put the frequency. Alright, guys? Okay, so once we have the tally, the score, and the frequency, then all we really need to know is write them, right? So for the first one, let's just start from number 1. Okay, guys? Let's start from number 1. And so for score number 1, we're going to cross out all the ones. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So the tally comes up to 8, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the frequency is 8. All right. Then for the next one, which is 2, we're going to cross them out, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This one is also 8. So we're going to end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is 8 for 2. Then for number 3 now, we're going to start crossing them out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so this one is 10. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this one is 10. Then for 4, let's cross the 4s out. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's actually 5, right? So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is a 5 over here. Then we have 5 goals scored, which is actually 1, and it's only 1 actually. So it's 1 over here. Then we have 6 goals scored, and in this case it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, and we should have a 4 over here. And for the last one, there should actually be a 0 as well, meaning no goals were scored in the match. So let's just draw this down here, and let's just carry this down here as well. And we have 1, 2 cases where no goals were scored for Liverpool. So the cases are 1, 2, and this is 2. All right. So when you add all of these now, guys, when you add all of these together, you should get your total frequency. So total frequency is equal to 8 plus 8 would give us 16, plus 10 is 26. 26 plus 5 gives us 31, plus 1 gives us 32, plus 6 gives us 38, of course, and it should be 38 because there's a 38 game Premier League season. Alright? Alright guys, so for B now, we're going to find the relative frequency of 3 goals scored, and we know that the relative frequency is equal to the total number of times the event occurred, which is, in this case, it's 10, right? Because they ask you to find the relative frequency of 3 goals scored. And we know that the relative frequency is the number of times the events occurred divided by the total frequency, right? So in this case, it's going to be 10 over 38. And this would be as a fraction. If we want it as a decimal, if we want it as a percentage, we have to multiply this by 100. And the answer would actually be 26.32%. All right, cool. Right, 26.32, 26.3, it's actually 26.315, which I'm going to round off to 26.32 to 2 decimal places in percentage. All right, guys. So for C now, it says calculate the probability that for a match played, the goals scored are greater than 2. All right. So for the relative frequency in this case, we want the case where the probability is for the goals scored that's greater than 2. So in the cases where the matches are greater than 2 would be 3, 4, 5, and 6. So these are the cases that I need to add and put over the total frequency. Alright guys, so in this case it's just 10 plus 5 plus 1 plus 4, and I'm gonna put that over the total frequency. Cool. And cool, so I'm going to end up getting 10 plus 5 plus 1, which is 16, plus 4, which is actually 20. Yeah, 20 over 38, which would give me the probability, which is actually 52.63. Well, it should be 0.5263, but I'm actually going to multiply this by 100, guys. So multiply this by 100. Let's multiply the answer by 100 in order to get the relative frequency as a percentage, which is 52.63%. All right, guys. So not too bad. I think this is rather simple. The most important thing, guys, is to just draw your frequency table properly. And once you tally up the results, then you can always find the relative frequency, which is just the total number of times the event occurs over the total frequency, right? All right, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed this lecture, and I'll see you in the next one. And thank you so much for your time. That's it. And I'll see you in the next lecture. And remember to do your best, and God will do the rest.